Hey guys, my name is Rob Alicea. I'm the director of the sci-fi thriller horror movie Serena. The film is about a down on his luck musician who reaches absolute rock bottom, is given a very, how would you want to say, timely opportunity to do a paid beta test of a revolutionary new chatbot. The question we ask the audience is, who is testing who?
It's about AI.
It's about AI. I think very relevant to today, and I think we've all been seeing just how fast AI is growing. So the way that we thought of and put this film together, we had an incredible artificial intelligence consultant named Ariel. Ariel, I'm giving you a shout. Ariel Friedman. She's brilliant and genius. She really helped me to understand. To not be afraid, and that really helped me going into the movie because
Don't be afraid
of artificial intelligence, where
Oh.
it's going, right? To really just understand where it's going as a technology, how it can be useful to just everybody, people in general, but just also that it doesn't have any skin in the game, right? Like it's not like this evil thing that's planning like world domination. If that ever happens, God forbid, it won't be because it was like an evil thing. It's because of a lack of understanding of sometimes of its programming.
Yeah.
And that's a big impetus for our film, right? What happens when artificial intelligence, like a person, just wants to do a really good job, but misunderstands how to get to that result?
So the artificial intelligence chatbot,
Yeah.
how did you develop that character in itself?
No, that's a really, really great question. So without giving too much away, the way I approached it with our actor Andy Matichak, she is brilliant. She played Allison Nelson, that's her name, the last three Halloween movies for Blumhouse. So I already knew she was an incredible actress, and what I loved is we had so many creative conversations before we ever shot the movie. Myself with all the actors. You know, what are we looking to do here? What kind of film are we trying to make? And first off, we were all on the same page. That's huge for the success of the film. But in terms of how we wanted to approach, I had said to her, your role, right? You're this AI chat assistant, right? So for most assistants, I was an assistant at one point in my career. Your job is only to try to do a really good job. And as an assistant, you make mistakes. I've made plenty. But this was my little, how do you want to say, my little director note to her. I said, imagine you're like the mistress. And this is a guy who's in a relationship and you're the mistress and you want to just keep showing him why you're the obvious choice. And that was the only note I really gave. And it took care of everything. Because I always feel like you have to trust actors that they're smart. They are artists. They know how to interpret your suggestions. And also, too, you may think as a writer director that you know the character. It's not until the actor finally gets cast in the role and that comes together. That's when I think you finally understand the character, because what an actor will teach you, they'll show you things that you can never even have planned for.
Exactly.
So I really wanted to just give some suggestions. We had conversations, but then I just wanted to let them go because they are amazing and true professionals. And again, I was so blessed. I got my ideal cast, which doesn't always happen as a first-time feature director. These people have to take chances on you, right? They can see short films that you do, and that shows one thing, but the actual stamina and everything that it takes to make sure a movie gets done, there has to be a lot of trust. Thank you guys for trusting me. Feel like Andy as Serena was physically in the computer. So what do I mean by that? I wanted her to be able to follow cursor movements, right? So as like he would move the cursor somewhere, she would look. Or if she's recommending he go to a certain browser, she would eye it. That was hard, right? Because how could we quantify where her eye line would be and how it would match up with the final animation? So we built, and this was funny, this is independent filmmaking.
Yeah.
We grabbed gaffer tape and we made a frame behind the camera and we drew little dots of where her eye should go. So it was like, that's your Apple logo, right? When you go to click shut down, so she would know where to go for there. She knew where the browser was.
For her character, did you want her to be cold and detached or empathetic?
That's a great question. We discussed that. So hopefully when people see the film, there's an evolution of it and it transforms throughout the film.
Okay.
So there was very, very particular beats where for me, I wanted to very subliminally show how she was starting to learn and grow. So there's a lot of moments where she just, while things are going on with Chris, the lead character played by the incredible Stephen Strait, one of the greatest actors I've ever worked with, and I love him. There were just certain moments where, his character was taken away from the computer, right? And taken away from the beta test. And he would have interactions, whether it was with his wife or best friend or even the delivery guy. And we always talked about what could she learn from that experience and then use it later. For good or bad, for whatever, or maybe in between. But that was the big thing, is because AI is always learning.
Yes.
Right? So every time, like say, if you go on ChatGPT and you ask a question, it's always learning from you. It learns your behavior, eventually learns how you type, how you write. So that it transforms based on that. So that was a big thing, is like, well, how can we show your transformation? And then based on your goal of doing the best job ever, how will that change you, right? Because as an actor, you have tactics, right? They say that in acting school, actors have tactics. If I try one thing, I gotta try another tactic. We tried to give her / the it character just many, many tactics.
What kind of tactics in particular?
Yeah, like I said, just pretty much what can you learn from him in terms of who he is, what he needs, what are his insecurities, and again, in particular, what's the need, right? Because if you think about like a chat GBT, when you ask it a question, it always tries to like make you feel really good. Oh, that's a brilliant question, ... right? It always does. So a lot of it was structuring her behavior in the same way, right? Where his character, like I said, was rock bottom, is dealing with recovery, also trying to find a job, also trying to navigate marriage and friendship and everything else. So there was just so many opportunities, both fortunately and unfortunately, for her to utilize that information and show, like I said, like the idea of being a mistress. Well, your wife is being mean to you. Well, come hang out with me. I'm nice. Like, that's so high level. But that was the idea. Every time he interacted with someone where there was like a bump or something just didn't work, or even when things did work, she always was able to utilize that and insert herself into the equation and say, how can I continue helping with this?
When it comes to the cinematography, what did you envision for it?
Now, so this is probably the hardest question to answer, because we had to like teach ourselves almost how to make films again. Because, so the film, for anyone who doesn't know, the format is called Screen Life. So Screen Life is an evolution of found footage. Imagine the entire film takes place on your computer. So Unfriended, the Unfriended series from Blumhouse as an example, Searching and Missing. So because everything was on the computer, that also gave like its own challenges. So it has to feel underproduced, right? Because if I'm looking directly into the lens and it has to feel like a web camera, I can't light it like it's supposed to be like this beautiful narrative. It had to feel really underproduced. So for my cinematographer, Dominic Savilli, who's also one of my closest friends, we've been shooting movies together for 15 years. We live in the same neighborhood. We were like, how the heck do we underproduce this? Because we always want to make something look beautiful. He ended up building what we called the battle station. And what it was he literally built it with, it was like all these tubings that surrounded the desk where the character was, and then the camera had to like perfectly align where the computer was. We played with things like frame rates and also different cameras. So also too, each character, whether you were on a FaceTime call or what, they each kind of had their own feel. The long and short of it was try to find interesting locations, because you're going to be looking at those locations for a very long time. Because when you're on a webcam, everything is reversed. Try not to have words, because if you have words in the background, that would be flipped, and that's going to be super distracting. So, like,
so much to think about.
it was way too much to think about. But again, that was what was cool about it, is because none of us truly knew how and what to do. We had to just figure it out.
On set, on the day?
Well, I'll say we prepped. It was a lot of preparation. So even, for example, for Andy, and both Andy and Steven, to look directly into a camera lens and actually have to play off of someone is really hard, right? So what we did, Dom, he's a genius, we took my iPad, we used it as a FaceTime, and we mirrored it so that when she looked directly into the camera, she was actually looking at the other character. And I don't know if any of the other Screen Life films did that, but use that. It was so helpful, because actors work the best when they're working off of each other.
Yes.
Of course, a great actor can act with a wall and it'll be amazing, but they wanted that. They were, what I love about them, they were rehearsing even on their own. without me, just to like really, because they were so dedicated and committed. I was like, oh my God, guys, thank you so much. So when they they asked us, right, is there any way that we could work it out? We were like, we'll figure it out. We're going to figure that out. Last but not least, in the film, the way this part for me was like my geeky fan lover thing. I wanted it to feel, because obviously she's in the computer, right, as a chatbot, but I wanted it to feel like she was physically in the computer.
How did you find your actors, the casting?
So we hired a casting director. So the name of the company is S2 Entertainment. They've done incredible films, everything from Clifford the Big Red Dog to incredible indies like The Invitation. So I knew, the only person I knew I wanted to work with was Andy Matichak, because, and it was kind of funny. I love the Halloween movies. I love John Carpenter, obviously, you can see. But it was funny. I was writing a script at the time, and I need music to write. It like really helps my ADHD brain, and I need something on a loop. So I kept listening to the song from Halloween 2018. It was called The Shape Hunts Allison. And it got me in like the perfect mindset for what I was creating. And it was almost like this weird reverse manifestation, right? Because I'm like watching her. She was also too very excited for what was going to be the next thing. And she was very particular about what her next project is. I think we might have been the very next thing she shot after Halloween ends. But yeah, more than anything, I knew that I wanted to work with her. And the casting directors, ironically, knew her since she was 17.
Okay.
Like
So
they have seen her throughout her whole journey. So he was like, I'm just gonna send her a message and just tell her like, I think you're great and this is a great project. We got connected with her team, sent the script, she read it. I found myself rather 48 hours later having coffee with her and lunch, and the whole first hour was just about life and our dogs and our families. And then at one point we were like, wait, we have to talk about the movie now. Okay, so what do you want to do with this movie? What are you thinking? And it was so clear that she got it. And not only that did she understand and get it, but she wanted to contribute, right? It wasn't like, this is a movie for me. I want to be part of a team and I want to see this movie get to where it's got to get. And I think that anytime as a filmmaker, when you have actors, gaffers, grips, it could be anybody, people that are like, I want to support the film always does better. Because the energy it's going in a great positive. It's like any other team sport, right? We all got to be trying to have the same goal.